Hiya! So I wanted to start sort of a new series. I was the first in my immediate family to go to college, and most of my extended family that I was close to, for that matter. I didn't have anyone to ask questions or to give me advice other than, which I feel like they don't get that involved beyond the application process. So I wanted to start this new video series trying to help people who might be in similar situations or might just not want to talk to parents or their cousins or whatever. They don't feel comfortable talking to someone in their family who's gone to college or university if you're in Europe. Grab a cup of tea and we'll chat. Probably around this time, a lot of college kids are showing up to move into their dorm. And for most people, that is the very first time that they are away from home. I want to talk about tips for living on your own, but specifically if you're in a dorm. I'll do one about an apartment later on. First thing that you really need to remember is that you're going to get homesick, and that's okay. Everybody gets homesick. The best thing to do about that, believe it or not, is to not go home, because the more you get into it, the more you just continually go home every time that you get sad. If you push through it and find friends who you can rely on, you're a lot better off. My mom actually said before I left, I don't want you coming home for a month, because she knew I was going to get sad and want to come home. And I also was far enough away that I couldn't come home every weekend, which I actually think is kind of a blessing, because I had to kind of find my place at my school. And I did. I made a bunch of friends and we hung out on the weekends, and eventually you stop getting as homesick. Of course, if you are like me and you're quite close to your family, it's still hard. My advice would be stick it out for an entire month, no going home for an entire month, and then you can go home. And then you'll be able to last longer and longer each time. Number 2, make sure you socialize with your floor mates. It makes the homesickness easier for one thing, but also it's how you start making friends when you first get there. A lot of times there's events that your RA will throw, and you should definitely go to those. Even if you're a super shy introvert, which I am, it's really good to go to movie nights or something, at least in the beginning, when you're still sort of meeting people. Speaking of your RA, utilize your RA. That's what they're there for. They are there to help you. Don't be afraid to go ask your RA for some tips on different things or asking about specific things about your school. They've been there longer, they know more, and they're literally paid to help. So make sure that you utilize that resource. You especially need to know your RA, who your RA is, for when you get locked out, because it will happen at least once. Hopefully it's not after a shower. Keep your keys with you all the time. Just get in the habit of always having your keys, which can be a little bit difficult when you're in a situation where you're just going to the bathroom, but just always remember to keep your keys, because most dorm rooms have spring locks, so as soon as it closes, it locks. If you don't have your keys, you're locked out. And if you're lucky, your roommate's still there and you can get back in that way. But if you're not lucky, you are locked out. You should also always keep your room locked if you are going further than just the bathroom. And some would even say even if you're just going to the bathroom, because there's a lot of people coming in and out, and of course people aren't supposed to let random people into the building, but it happens, so just keep that in mind and always keep your room locked. But something really important, at least at my school it was, you need to always keep your keys on you, which is why they give you a lanyard when you first get there at orientation. But do not wear your lanyard. I still use my lanyard from my alma mater. It's not the same one, because the one I had freshman year broke, but I only use it as like a way to keep all my keys together, and I just hold it in my hand. Do not put it around your neck. That is how upperclassmen figure out who the freshmen are. So for your own good, and so you don't get pegged as like the geeky weirdo freshman, don't wear your lanyard. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but just be aware that the upperclassmen will probably make fun of you if you're wearing your lanyard. Storage is your friend. If you are just moving in and you find you have some extra space under your bed, in your closet, wherever, find a way to utilize storage things. So rolling carts, or the plastic rolling carts with the removable drawers. Obviously take the wheels off the carts, but use those. Those are really helpful. Put storage boxes under your bed if they fit, because you do not want to end up in a situation where you are living in clutter. It's really distracting and it's not pleasant. And you want to keep everything sort of in a manageable way so that when you're running late to class, you aren't wondering where you put everything, because everything has its place. Also make your dorm super, super cozy. So that means pillows and blankets and the comforts of home, your favorite whatever from home, whether it's a blanket or a stuffed animal or a picture for the wall or whatever. But you want to make it super comfortable because that is your home for the next several months to a year. You want to make sure that when you come home from class and you're exhausted, and probably not just physically but emotionally, because the first year of college is really overwhelming, you will feel at home and happy. If you're like me, food is a big concern for you. So my number one tip with food is learn the dining halls. Figure out which ones you like for which meals and figure out how to best utilize them. It's okay to food out of the dining halls. Everybody does it. Just be careful what you take. You don't want to take something that's going to spoil, which leads right into make sure you are stocked up on non-perishable foods and your favorite snacks for your bedroom. When it's late at night and you don't have a car, you can't go and get food. It's a little easier now than when I was in school because now you have Postmates and DoorDash, so you could potentially just have someone else do it for you and just pay them to do it. But most college kids don't have the disposable income to send people on errands willy-nilly. You don't have to be best friends with your roommate. That is something that I think a lot of people go into school having the expectation that their roommate's going to be their best friend. That's not always the case. It's usually not the case, and it's probably for the best that it's not the case. It's very hard to live with your best friend. Because you're in such a small space, they're going to piss you off. They're going to do things that drive you nuts. You're going to want to be anywhere but with them at some point. And also keep that in mind, if your school allows you to choose your roommate, don't choose your best friend, because you might end up hating each other. I was given that advice, which this has nothing to do with my first year at school, but I was given the advice never live with a friend, and then I didn't listen and I did live with a friend, and we are no longer friends. We had a really bad falling out because of our living situation. So learn from my mistakes. Don't live with a friend. Keep friendship and living situation completely separate, because you're going to have to learn to cohabitate, because it's very rare that anyone has the exact same preferences as their roommate in terms of like sleeping and studying and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to have to learn how to compromise and find a way to deal with each other's preferences and schedules and things like that. But don't let them walk all over you, because it's going to be a really long year if you don't stand up for yourself. Don't be an asshole, but don't let them walk all over you. If something is really important to you, say something. And most importantly, remember that living in a dorm is a safety net. You are kind of on your own, but you still have the safety net of the RA and your parents to some degree, and the school. So use that safety net wisely. First year of college is super overwhelming, so don't be completely in a rush to move out. Understand that this is a temporary situation. Even if you're miserable, it's a way to get used to and learn things about yourself and about other people and about how to live on your own while not at the risk of falling flat on your face and starving to death. So those are my tips for living on your own for the first time, dorm edition. As always, there are so many books and so little time, so I'm gonna go read, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!